to it. I'm like, nah, it wasn't that bad.
See,
It was way worse in my brain.
I'm not hypercritical, and I do not go back. Even when I was at NBC, I would never go back and watch my TV hit ever.
That's fair.
That's just not me. It's okay.
916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. That is the Elk Grove Kia talk line. We have so much to dig into. The NBA trade deadline is in 1 hour and 58 minutes. The Sacramento Kings have some work to do. Whether they do that work, TBD. We'll talk about that. A bunch of movement happened in the NBA last night and this morning. We'll talk about that. But first, we got to get to Zach LaVine's debut, a 130-111 loss for the Kings against the Orlando Magic, a 19-point defeat that wasn't as close as the final score.
Oh, no. No.
And I've anytime you're down 30 in the fourth quarter and you're pulling your starters with 8 minutes to go, it's not great.
That could have been a 50-point loss.
Yeah.
That was not good.
Look, it's one game, and I don't want to overreact, but we host a multimedia sports talk show. So reacting to what happened is our job.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got to tell you, after one game, and this is not because they lost. I understand that Orlando's a tough matchup. This is not, I don't see the vision.
Okay.
I watched it. Maybe it's first game with Zach LaVine. They're still figuring it out, and maybe everything will click into place, and the Kings offense is just going to be awesome. They're going to score 150 points a night. Oh, okay. But as of right now, what I see is a bunch of isolation scorers trying to get their shots up. That's what their offense looks like to me, or looked like to me last night. And that has to change if they want to do anything this year.
I was so disappointed by the look of the game. I know that they're going to have defensive struggles. That's going to be a thing. And when you go up against a team that at one point had Franz Wagner at 6'9", 6'10" at the shooting guard spot.
It's ridiculous.
With like a whole bunch of other 6'10" and 6'11" dudes. Like they were so long and athletic that it was like, okay, like, look, that game was exactly what we complain about all the time that the Kings don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And if you needed one more reminder before the trade deadline to go get some of those players, you got it last night. You were like a giant magnifying glass just got shown like, hey, this is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But outside of that, like, I think it was interesting that, first of all, Zach LaVine hasn't played in it's 9 days, right?
Yeah, because he was out for 3 games before being traded.
Yeah, his wife had a baby 4 days ago, and somehow made it to the game last night. No joke.
What?
He's like, my wife is crazy. I don't know what she's thinking, but she decided she's like, oh no, I wouldn't miss this, because they have family here local, and then
superhero, dude. That's incredible.
Yeah, and then they live. Their home is in Southern California, 45-minute flight to get to his home. He kept saying it, like, I'm so close to home. This is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the other thing. But then to watch him not know how to work a pick and roll with Domantas Sabonis was very odd to me.
Yeah.
Like, there was no feel at all. And it was like, oh, he kept getting the ball and I have the ball. Why do I have the ball right now?
I know why he played, and he should. You trade for a guy of Zach LaVine's caliber, he's going to be in the lineup,
of course.
But as that game went on, I kept thinking to myself, maybe he shouldn't have played. Can he get a practice in? But you played last night. You fly to Portland. You play tonight.
Game on.
You're not going to have him out 2 games.
Nope.
He's it's going to be trial by fire. So I'm expecting, like I said, I expect it to look better at some point. But I don't know that we're ever going to get back to the brand of basketball that we saw in 22-23, where it was this motion offense, running through Domantas Sabonis as the offensive hub, ball movement, finding open shots, spray threes. I don't think we're going to see a lot of that moving forward. I think what we saw last night was the start of a transition to a very different looking Kings offense. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I think you're right. I really hope that that's not the case, because I hate that brand of basketball. Like, what I saw last night, to me, it turned my stomach. Like, I did not want to watch There's nothing worse than just, dribble, dribble, dribble and shoot. Like one guy just like ISO. And to me, it almost felt like people were trying to put like their stamp on like, hey, this is me.
Yeah.
This is my turn. This is my team.
And I
it's like, ew.
I think the reason I think the reason it jumps out, it was so glaring to me was the excitement for the game. Like, there was genuine like hype around Zach LaVine is here. And as more stuff comes out about the De'Aaron Fox trade and you start feeling more like, oh, the Kings didn't mess this up. He didn't want to be in Sacramento anymore. And that might have been because of mistakes the Kings made, but it was done. Like, there was nothing they were going to do. He wanted out. And the sentiment is now has shifted at least a little bit toward, okay, well, Zach LaVine's the guy now. It's Sacramento. Welcome to Zachtown, et cetera, et cetera. And Matt George on Twitter last night was like, yeah, I walk around talking to people, and it feels like an opening night. Like, there's that kind of buzz.
Oh, yeah.
And to fall flat the way they did, you lose by 8 or 10. I'll buy it's LaVine's first game. Oh, first game back home after a long road trip. We heard that one last night on the broadcast. You hear that on every NBA broadcast, by the way. I think when you become an NBA broadcaster, you're given a booklet. And rule number 1 is first game at home after a long road trip, you have to mention how hard the game is.
Yeah, I think there's a one sheet.
Yes.
Like laminated one sheet.
Yep. And it's the box you got to check right at the top.
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
So I would have bought that if they lost by 8 or 10.
Okay.
I was not expecting them to just look flat. They just got smoked.
Yes, as much as it was flat, it was just 5 dudes on the court.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it just looked like, 5 guys who had never played together. And I think, like, in pregame, Doug was asked about this, and he said, like, very specifically, like, look, we've all played, like, out on the blacktop, and somebody's got to go home. And you just got to, like, throw another guy in so you can make a team and keep playing. He's like, we've all done this. It's not that big of a deal. But again, like, I asked Zach LaVine last night in the locker room about, like, hey, you played with Vucevic, who's a very good center and a decent passing center and everything else. Like, just how much different is it to play with Sabonis? He goes, everything is different. He's like, the way he passes a ball, everything is so much quicker. He's like, I just was not expecting it. And so I do think that, like, they're going to get together and shoot around, and it'll be like, hey, let's just work on the high screen and roll for like 5 minutes. And like, what it felt like to me is that he didn't even understand like how close to get to Sabonis, or that the ball is going to be there, or that Sabonis can rotate his hips and drop a pass to you on the like as you're coming around the screen. Like, none of it. He didn't understand any of it, which I thought was really, really interesting. But again, if you haven't played in a system that does this, that's tough. And it's a little bit about learning, and trying to figure guys out. Like, I know you played baseball forever. Like, when I play first base, I go throw with the shortstop for, for 5 minutes. I go throw with the third baseman for 5 minutes. So I know how their ball spins when they're throwing it at you from long distance. And like, so you want to get that feel. And there was just no feel at all between Sabonis and LaVine. And it just stood out. Like, he didn't know to go around the screen. Then he got the ball and didn't know what to do. And then he hoisted 28 footers. You're like, what is happening? And then DeMar DeRozan's like, hey,
it's like, look what I can do. Like, hey, everybody, I know that. Watch me. And that's that more than everything you just mentioned.
Yeah.
That's fixable.
Yes.
Like you said, that's it. Shoot around today. You can go, hey, when you throw this pocket pass, I like it here. Or when you set this screen, set it at this angle, and then make sure you're cutting. Like, there's these little things you can do where it's just, oh, okay, got it.
Yep.
You rep it a couple times. Okay, good. This is going to look better against Portland. It was everybody else who's been here.
Yeah.
It was just shocking to me.
Like, they just forgot that Keegan Murray was on the court.
It was insane.
Absolutely wild.
They had 23 assists last night, which is not a terrible number.
It's not great, but it's not terrible.
Right. It's probably about average, maybe a little
the
below.
fact that they had 19 turnovers was, but go ahead.
They had 7 of their 23 assists came from Isaac Jones, Colby Jones, and Devin Carter.
Wow.
7 of their 23 assists came in garbage time.
Those 16 assists, like I was counting and watching, like, why are they not passing the ball at all?
Yep.
No one. And it did not help that Malik Monk got in early foul trouble. And then it now shines the other bright light, like, oh boy, you don't have another point guard. Oh, that's not good at all. Like, now what are you going to do? You traded an all-star level point guard, and like once you get past Malik Monk, in addition to trading that all-star level point guard, you traded Jordan McLaughlin. So now you don't have another point guard, and that was another thing that just stood out. Like, oh no.
2 things. I wanna put a pin in that.
Okay, that's fine.
The Kings starters last night had 12 assists and 14 turnovers. Oh,
yeah.
Yikes. But I said on this show yesterday, and I said on the internet, I feel like in 2025, you don't necessarily need a point guard.
Okay.
You just need someone who can like bring the ball up the floor and initiate the offense. I get what people mean now when they say, oh, you need another point guard. You may not need a point guard in the traditional sense, but you need a person who can, like what Mike Conley does for the Timberwolves, right? Mike Conley is 50, but he just goes out there. He knows where to go on the court when they're discombobulated, to use your word. And Anthony Edwards is just throwing stuff at the rim. They give it to Mike Conley. He brings the ball at the court and he settles everything down. He gets everybody where they need to be, and he initiates the offense. Kind of calm, just, hey, settle this down.
You know
the Kings. That's Malik, and the Kings, when he's off the floor, don't have that guy.
No. You know how old Mike Conley is?
50.
He played in college with Greg Oden,
who was 50 in college.
That was all the way back in the Kevin Durant.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. By the way, we give away after every Kings game. We give you the opportunity to win a Jiffy Lube gift certificate, a $50 Jiffy Lube gift certificate. Are you wearing the right hoodie today?
No, I'm wearing the other hoodie.
The old school hoodie. All right, that's fine.
Retro.
We have a exclusive Insiders hoodie you can only get if you work here or if you win this contest. James is wearing last year's right now. This year, shout out to our guy Jim. The design's a little bit different. Still love it though. You can get it in red. You can get it in blue. You can get it in black. And again, that's courtesy of our friends at Jiffy Lube, along with the $50 Jiffy Lube gift certificate. All you have to do to win those 2 things, you go to ESPN1320.com. You'll see the Jiffy Lube contest page. It's front and center. You can't miss it. And you're going to enter the keyword deadline. Today's word is deadline. That's all one word, DEAD, line, LINE. All one word, because the trade deadline is in an hour and 45 minutes.
That's right.
And that's the focus today. Deadline. At ESPN1320.com at the Jiffy Lube contest page, win a $50 Jiffy Lube gift certificate and an exclusive Insiders hoodie. Thank you, everybody, for your entries. And if when you come in to pick up your hoodie, let us know you're coming.
Yeah, say hi.
We'll hang out.
Yeah, Tyler Griner came in and said hi to us.
Tyler Jennings?
Jennings, my bad.
Tyler Jennings pulled up.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's our Jiffy Lube contest. We're going to be giving away flowers later, too.
That's true.
Yeah, let's take a look at the deadline. The Kings finally got a backup center for Domantas Sabonis.
Excellent.
Who's not Alex Len.
That's true.
So the Kings got a little bit better yesterday. And then Davion Mitchell got traded. And that doesn't matter. He went to the Heat. The most Miami Heat player in the league finally made it to the Miami Heat. But there's a Kings slant to that trade that really highlights what we've been talking about with the front office.
Yep.
And with Monty McNair and with Wes Wilcox and all those guys. So we'll dive into all of that. We'll be following the trade deadline as well. Any NBA trade that happens, we'll cover it live here for you. And we'll cover some of the bigger moves that happened last night in the West. You got something?
No, I'm just laughing at the chat.
Okay, good. Shout out to the chat. We love them very much. Join us in the chatty house at youtube.com/ESPN1320. He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're the Insiders. And Jiffy Lube sponsors this program on ESPN 1320 at Sacramento Sports Leader. And clear.
Yeah, sorry about that, Tyler Jennings. And then this is why Tyler Griners, and He was sleeping. brain froze. It's all right. It's been a long couple of days, people. I just hope you know it's been a long couple of days.
Hey, we have this. We will talk about this specifically today, Greg. Good question.
I'm not victory lapping at all. I think it will take 3 or 4 days to figure these things out. Kyle can have his take, and I can also have my take.
It's not victory lapping. It's reacting to a game.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not. I want. It's so much better for us if the Kings are good.
Just personally, I would much rather watch good basketball than bad basketball.
This job is
so much bad.
Way better when you guys are having fun, when the Kings are having fun. So no, I would love to see the Zach LaVine addition work out.
Mm-hmm.
And I know James does. James would too. So there will be no victory laps.
Tyler Griner, I do think that this was a very, very interesting thing. To be honest with you, I use a program on my phone to record using my mic, right? Mm-hmm. And it got locked up when we went to start the Malik Monk press conference. I had to reset it really quick, and then I started recording as Malik was like into his answer about Fox. And I didn't hear it until Brendan on the way out. It's like, wow, did you hear what he said about Fox? And I'm like, not really. I was in the middle of like switching things. So I went back and listened later. I thought that was very telling that he has not really had conversations with Fox about the trade. And then, he said he'll check back in with him later. I think there is some bad blood here with a lot of people that a lot of teammates that kind of at the end of the day felt like that good things were happening, and De'Aaron didn't want to be part of that and blew up their season, or at least a part of their season. And whether they can recover or not, we'll see. But dropping games is not what this team needed. And I think a lot of them felt like a couple of games here, even last night's game, is a part of a larger issue that De'Aaron Fox played a part in. So is what it is. Players want to get traded. Players want to get paid, all that stuff. Again, to be honest with you, if Malik Monk left via free agency and the Kings weren't able to replace him, it's not like De'Aaron Fox would have held that against Malik Monk if he went and signed somewhere else for more money. And it's just like in season, it was a problem.
Mark Jones calling De'Aaron's first game in a Spurs uniform was weird last night.
I forgot to reach out to Mark and see. Well, maybe we'll check and see if he's around tomorrow.
Yeah, tap in.
Yeah.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
James is over there. Oh, hey, here we go. James is over there. I'm Kyle. We were not live on the radio. That's fine. The music was playing, so hope everybody enjoyed that. That's James. I'm Kyle. We're hanging out with you until noon. Jiffy Lube sponsors the show. That's a good fade. I am just crushing it over here today. We'll dive back into the Kings' loss to the Magic a little bit later. News broke before the game, however, that Sacramento was involved in another trade. The CD Sissoko era is over.
Yeah, he did get a press conference in.
Yeah,
Well,
he got
a
a
media
little,
sesh.
little press scrum after
Yeah.
practice. He was dealt along with 2 second-round picks to the Washington Wizards for Jonas Valanciunas, a move that we've been eyeing since last offseason when he was a free agent.
Yeah.
We know his connection to Domas via the Lithuanian national team. We have seen him and Domas battle 6 times last year when the Pelicans and Kings played. He is now in a Kings uniform. I know that we've both been for this type of deal. How does he fit into what the Kings are doing?
Yeah. Okay. So just the structure of it, so we get that out of the way first. The Kings traded. They absorbed Valanciunas's contract into their mid-level exception. So they had a $12.8 million mid-level exception. This is the first year that you can actually use a mid-level to trade, and the Kings actually acquired him using that mid-level exception.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So they still have their $16.8 million mid-level exception, right?
Trade exception.
Excuse me. Trade exception. They also they sent CD Sissoko in a different deal. Basically, it's part of the same trade, but basically they'll get like a $2.1 million trade exception for CD, which doesn't really matter.
Sure.
But what that did is the Kings had $10.5 million below the luxury tax before that trade. That wiped out $8 million of that. They're now within $2.5 million of the luxury tax, and I think $6 million total of the hard cap. So they've shrunk down what they can do outside of that trade without it being a net positive trade for them as far as like losing salary cap going out and losing salary going out and taking back less, right? So what I like about Valanciunas is he's tough. He rebounds. He's a huge man. Like he's
large person.
He eats up a lot of space in the key. And when you run into teams like the Memphis Grizzlies or the Denver Nuggets, and they roll out some gigantic human being that you can't match up against, you now have somebody who's bigger than Sabonis. I think he's 6'11", 7 foot. Like he's not way taller. He's just a much bigger dude. And he's super tough. I mean, everyone knows here in Sacramento what they did to the Kings last year with him as part of the Pelicans when they went 6-0 against the Kings. And a lot of that's just the physicality that he plays with. When he rolled through with Washington, 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago, whatever, like the days all blend together at this point. 23-11? He's a very, very talented starting level center that's on a reasonable deal. I think it's 9.9 this year, 10.5 million next year, and then there's a team option for right around 10 million the year after that. So this is a big guy who's tough. He's mean. Everyone knows, he's the guy who that pulled Chimezie Metu off the rim, and Chimezie fell and broke his wrist. And so like this is a guy who is no nonsense. And he's also a guy that's played a ton throughout his life, not just his international play, but with Domas. They've known each other. Domas told me in the locker room last night that he's known Jonas his whole life.
Wow.
He said, I've known him, like I've never not been where there's not a Jonas Valanciunas in his life. So he's known him forever. And then there was this interesting thing that happened in the locker room where Domas came in, got his shoes on, was going to go out and do his pregame workout. And I said, can I ask you about Jonas? He's like, well, I don't think the trade's happened yet. And I'm like, oh, you're right. He goes out, he works out.
He can't comment.
He can't comment because it hasn't happened. He goes out, while he's out working out on the court, the trade goes through, and then I was able to interview him afterwards for, like me, Jason Anderson, and Chris Peterman stood there and peppered him with questions about Jonas. And good stuff. You can find it on my Twitter handle. But I think he's going to help.
At least I hope so. I want to get into how he can help, but real quick, some minor breaking news out of the NBA. According to ESPN's Shams Charania, the Phoenix Suns are trading Yusuf Nurkic and a 2026 first-round pick to the Charlotte Hornets for Cody Martin, Vasily Micic, and a 2026 second-round pick. So Yusuf Nurkic is no longer on the books for Phoenix.
Mm.
They have acquired Cody Martin and Vasily Micic, along with a 2026 second round pick.
I got to be honest. I would have loved to have had Cody Martin and Micic.
Either Martin twin would have been great.
Yeah, but that deal specifically, when we talk about the fact that they don't have point guard depth, I just think that would have been an interesting addition. But yeah.
So that's the latest in the NBA trade deadline. Back to Jonas Valanciunas. I don't think Phoenix is much of a factor. That's why I don't want to spend that much time on that deal.
Yeah.
I mean, Micic is the basketblogger's favorite player. Cody Martin's a good wing, but that doesn't move the needle much for me with Phoenix. Unless it's setting the table for something bigger. Anyways. I'm interested to see with Valanciunas, if he and Domas ever play together. I think it's an option in some circumstances.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's something they're going to go to a lot.
I think if you can get 3 minutes a half of them playing together, that would be great. I'm not sure that you can do that.
No, but if you're in a scenario where you're playing Milwaukee and you've just got nothing for Brook Lopez and Giannis, it just gives you two bigger bodies to throw on the court. I like trying that, and maybe it doesn't work. But I like trying that in a scenario where you need it way more than I like trying Alex Len with Domas. Yeah,
and I think the one thing I will point to is that they've played together a ton in international play. So they have, but international play is different. They're, again,
no doubt.
Three in the key rules and all that stuff are totally different. There isn't a lot of big men that are running around the perimeter shooting threes. I think that's where you're going to have a lot of problems. I don't think that Jonas Valanciunas can defend that's mobile centers.
That's the thing, is he's not a great defender.
Yeah,
he's okay.
Yeah,
but he's not this eraser defensive five.
I would definitely say he's not a shot blocker, like a traditional shot blocker, but he is a gigantic person in the key, and he's a very good rebounder. And I think that you didn't get just way better defensively, but when you're looking at the team that you had before, he is an upgrade. And not only that, but
1,000%.
And I keep people forget that for some reason that there is a world in which Domantas Sabonis gets injured and is not able to play 82 games or 81 or 80 games a season. You now have a legitimate center that can step in, who can run some of the same stuff, who is a huge screen setter, like a very, very tough dude. And so I like the addition. Again, it's a little steep to pay $10 million a year for a guy who's going to play between, let's say, 12 and 18 minutes tonight. But you also got better. You got bigger. You got, we talk about this team just needs length and athleticism. Valanciunas is again, if you're going to go up against the Pelicans 3 times in the next 4 games after tonight, he's a guy that you can put out there and just, he knows exactly where Zion's going, and you don't want to get him caught in space with Zion, but he certainly can give Zion problems. And so it's just another added gigantic human being.
And to your point about he might play 18 minutes a night, he was playing 20 a night for Washington and averaging 11.5 and 8.
Yeah.
He's going to be productive in the minutes that he's on the court. And that's just something the Kings have been missing. Is this going to turn them into finals contenders? No. But in terms of making their roster better, this makes their roster better.
No, I think so too.
Pretty significantly.
Yeah. No, I agree. And then you also have to remember that, not only has he played with Sabonis, but he also played 6 seasons in Toronto with DeMar DeRozan. So this is another player that knows, some of the guys around him and knows how to play with them. That's a good thing.
Yep. No doubt. Davion Mitchell got traded as well from the Toronto Raptors to the Miami Heat. And our guy, Greg Wissinger, on Blue Sky, noted this, and this is why the Davion Mitchell trade matters. So the Kings traded Davion Mitchell, Sasha Vezenkov, and a second rounder to the Raptors for Jalen McDaniels. They then traded Jalen McDaniels with a second-round pick to the Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
So they attached a second-round pick to move the player that they sent 2 players and a pick out for.
Yes.
Sasha Vezenkov took a zero money to leave the NBA. Left the NBA for free.
The only reason that you gave up money, you gave up picks in that deal, was because of Sasha Vezenkov's money.
Correct.
Like, you could have easily traded, if you wanted, Davion Mitchell straight up for Jalen McDaniels. You probably could have got something back in that transaction.
You probably could have acquired the second.
Yeah, because you were hoping to dump Sasha's salary.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, Sasha goes and just opts out. Like, that's where I know hindsight is 20/20.
Sure.
You probably should have known whether he was going to opt out or not. But in that transaction alone, you wasted 3 second-round picks.
Yes. And then Toronto today traded Davion Mitchell to Miami and acquired a second-round pick.
Yeah, Tucker and a second-round pick, right?
They acquired a second-round pick to both get and give Davion Mitchell. There's levels to this front office thing, and there's levels to asset acquisition. Yeah. And when Monty McNair talks about how, they finally have the assets to make these moves, it's like, well, yeah, you finally have them because you just gave them away.
Yeah, that's the toughest part. Again, like the Chris Duarte trade. They traded 2 second-round picks to get Chris Duarte. They traded 2 second-round picks to get rid of Chris Duarte. So that's 4. And let's just go back, like the 2023 draft, right? That's
please
the 2023 draft. Right afterwards, they acquired Duarte, right? On draft night, they gave up their 2023, the number 24 overall pick in the draft, their first round pick, to get rid of the contract of Rashawn Holmes. So all of these accumulations, again, it's death by 1,000 paper cuts. And it's all like, you can't say, well, we now have all these picks. It's like, well, you had all those picks a year and a half ago, but you squandered them then.
Right. You don't get to start a fire and then grab the fire extinguisher and put it out and take credit for putting out the fire.
Yes.
Hey,
and you probably shouldn't have had to trade your best player in order to get the picks that you needed. Now, he wants to go, okay, whatever. That's where we're at now with the De'Aaron Fox conversation.
It's abundantly clear there was no path forward in Sacramento for De'Aaron Fox.
No, but you were careening towards that because you didn't do
correct.
You didn't use those picks and other things to go get players that mattered.
Yeah.
Like, again, this front office has used picks to get out from underneath their own mistakes.
Yeah.
Whether it's Sasha Vezenkov or it's, whatever.
And I actually don't hate the idea of doing that, because I think that's what happens with a lot of front offices across sports. You see this in the NFL a lot, certainly, where a team will make a mistake, and then instead of admitting that mistake and taking extraordinary measures to correct it, they just ride it out. And that begets other mistakes, and all of a sudden, you've taken 5 steps backwards.
Sunk cost fallacy, right?
Right.
Yeah.
The 49ers with DeForest Buckner is a good example. They traded DeForest Buckner when they probably shouldn't have. They drafted Javon Kinlaw. That didn't work out for them at all. Not an effective NFL player. So they let Kinlaw walk and then just threw a bunch of money at Javon Hargrave. Said like, hey, we need a high quality defensive tackle here. We're throwing more money at it that we didn't want to, but hey, you know what? We're here. What you can't do is do that all of the time.
Yes.
And that's what it felt like the Kings were/are doing. Is just everything is it's a snowball of mistakes. And doing it once, okay, good. Doing it 2, 3, 4, 5 times, where now to get those picks back, you have to trade your best player.
It's not easy.
Tough.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's not easy. This is a very difficult job.
Yes. And I will also say, like, there are times when you're like, hey, at least they were able to get out from underneath that money. Right? Like, again, the Rashawn Holmes thing. It's like, okay, that's okay. It cost you But again, Olivier Maxence Prosper, like it's not like you gave up like a top 12 pick or something.
Sure.
So you're hoping that you're able to recover from those things. But what you can't do is continuously do it. And it's like, all right, we don't have any draft capital. It's like,
Yeah, and you
why
back
don't you
yourself
have any
into a
draft
corner.
capital? Because you kept making these small mistakes and then using draft capital to get out from underneath those mistakes. And so it became like almost the norm as opposed to a situation that happened on occasion. And that's what happens. That's how you run out of draft capital. And again, you went out in the De'Aaron Fox trade and picked up, the equivalent of 5 first-round picks, right? You just used 2 of those to go get Valanciunas.
5 second-round picks.
5 second-round picks. I'm sorry. 5 second-round picks. And you just used 2 of those to go get Valanciunas. That's why you need those second-round picks, because if you are a team that's like a fringe playoff team and there are players out there that can help your roster, you have to have the assets to go get those players. And the Kings just haven't. They did not. They, like we talked about, they had 1 second-round pick coming into this trade deadline. They had, 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31 first-round picks, but 1 second-round pick. And you don't want to give up first-round picks because you don't have seconds.
Yeah.
That's not a good business model.
Not at all.
So like 1 first-round pick, even a late first-round pick, is the equivalent of like 3 or 4 or even 5 second-round picks.
And in the modern NBA with first aprons and second aprons, you're seeing more teams moving like decent players for not a lot because they're just trying to get under a second apron or under a first apron or under the tax line. And having those picks could be the difference between, hey, your roster on the fringes is very good and your roster on the fringes is not very good.
No, I totally agree. Like the lack of depth on this team, it did not get way better in the last couple of days.
Not at all.
Yeah.
We'll take some of your calls at the Elk Grove Kia Talk line, 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. We'll take those calls next. If you do give us a buzz, we can't put calls on hold and it'll just ring for a while. So if you get bored, hang up and try and call back, but we can only have one person on the line at a time.
Yep.
And when we pick up the phone, we're going to call you Don. So if you hear Don, we're talking to you.
That's right.
All right. We got more trade deadline to get to. A lot of stuff happened in the West. Are the Kings going to make any more moves? And if they do make another move, what would you like to see them do? Because there's a couple of different directions they can go. We'll discuss all of that next. He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're the Insiders. Brought to you by Jiffy Lube here on ESPN 1320 and Sacramento Sports Center. Clear.
Okay, so Jonathan, this trade, the worst trade in my opinion is getting rid of Sas Castillo for a first. So they also dumped Jason Thompson and Carl Landry's salary with Sauce, with of course Nick Stauskas for a future first. That was a tough one, but they did. I mean, that was $33 million worth of salary. I know that always kind of gets like brought up that the Kings had given away their 2019 first round pick, but it was a lot of money. And then they squandered that money during that offseason. But the initial idea was to go out and make some impact moves, and the moves that they made ended up not being impact moves. Kings Carl Landry twice. Actually, Carl was a really good dude. I wish Carl was still around the league, as an assistant or something.
Is he not coaching?
No, I haven't seen him. The chances the Kings make another trade in the next hour and 20 minutes. I wouldn't be shocked. Even Malik Monk mentioned it last night. I would not be shocked. We'll see what happens, though. Man, Nurkic made a lot of money.
Yeah, he did.
Jeez. Oh, the Atlanta Hawks are trading for DeAndre Hunter to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Karis LeVert, George Niang, 3 second-round picks, and 2 swaps.
Who's this?
That's for DeAndre Hunter.
Huh. George Yang was it?
No, Karis LeVert.
Oh, okay. There we go.
3 second-round picks. That's per Shams.
2 first-round swaps or second-round swaps? Imagine it's second-round swaps.
No, I think it's first-round swaps. Well, people were hoping that Anthony Davis would potentially miss the All-Star game and Domantas Sabonis would get in. That does not look good. The expectations, I'm told, is that newly acquired Anthony Davis will make his Mavericks debut Saturday at home against Houston rather than tonight in Boston, per Mark Stein. Trades.
Cleveland's in a weird spot.
Well, and so is Atlanta. Like, Atlanta's just lost. Hey, we got a lot of people in here. If you guys don't mind, it would be spectacular if you hit the thumbs up for us. And subscribe to the channel. Please.
I need Domas to block some more shots. Players tied with Domas in blocked shots this year include Delano Banton, Fred VanVleet, CJ McCollum, Steph Curry, and De'Aaron Fox.
Fred VanVleet has as many
blocks. Do you know who has the same amount of blocks as Jonas Valanciunas?
No.
Neemias Queta.
Oh, Nimi.
And Musa Diabate.
Oh.
Victor Wembanyama has 70 more blocks than Brook Lopez, who's in second place in blocks.
Oh, that's crazy.
The distance between Victor Wembanyama and number 2 Brook Lopez, and Walker Kessler is tied, is the same as the difference between number 2 and number 113. This is absurd. Hang on.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
I'll get to some of your calls here at the Elk Grove Kia Talk line, 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. I was just looking up, there's more to defense than blocks, but I was just looking up block numbers here. Victor Wembanyama leads the NBA with 162 blocks. Brook Lopez and Walker Kessler are tied for second with 92. The difference between Victor Wembanyama and Brook Lopez at 1 and 2 is the same as the difference between Brook Lopez and Jordan Poole at number 113.
That's wild.
That's insanity.
Yeah, that's wild.
Julian Champagny also has 22 blocks this year. That's absurd. That is so absurd. Anyways, the Elk Grove Kia Talk line, 916-909-1320. Let's get to Jason, and then we can talk about trades around the West. Jason, what's going on?
How you doing? So I guess today is a great day to go get a Valanciunas jersey. And is Valanciunas playing tonight, James? Do we know?
We don't know for sure, but the way that his deal was completed yesterday, I'm going to guess that yes, he is. I mean, because it was around like 6 o'clock yesterday. Both players, him and CD Sissoko, have to clear their medicals, but I would be surprised if he's at least not in uniform for the Kings tonight.
Okay, and I got a quick question. I know you guys are talking about it's not a it's very low possibility that Sabonis and Valanciunas will play on the same court. I mean, same time on the court. Is it possible that they might experiment right now, instead of, if they're in dire need to win a game, put both of them out? I mean, do you see that?
Thanks, Jason.
Yeah. Okay. So I think what you're asking, if like they're just gonna like in the middle of a game versus at the end of games.
I have no idea.
Yeah. Look, I think it's gonna be like test it out and see how it goes type deal, and see if you can have them on the court at the same time. But also, as long as Trey Lyles is on this team, there is going to be times where Trey still plays a small ball five, because the Kings can move faster and just play an up-tempo style, which is what they want to do with Trey Lyles on the court. So I don't know. I think it's going to be like a mix and match thing. And also Trey Lyles can play alongside Sabonis. He can play alongside Valanciunas, but he also has to still be on the roster an hour and 13 minutes from now. And as the one lone, like, middle of the road contract, an $8 million expiring contract, he might be the vehicle that the Kings use to go get like the lengthy 3-4 that they're looking for.
Let's get to, we have another trade in the NBA. The Cleveland Cavaliers have acquired DeAndre Hunter from the Atlanta Hawks for Karis LeVert, George Niang, 3 second-round picks, and 2 pick swaps. Cleveland's in a weird spot because they're obviously very good. What are they, 41-10?
Yeah, they're very good.
They're awesome. But adding a scorer like DeAndre Hunter might be able to help come playoff time. Do you just stick with the same roster? I don't think they're better than Boston. So I think you had to kind of make a move, but I don't know that this puts you in that stratosphere.
Yeah.
I respect trying to do something.
I agree. I do think that like DeAndre Hunter is a very good young player. He's averaging 19 points a game this year. And he's played in 37 games, which is shocking, but 19 points per game and only 28.8 minutes, shooting 39.3% from 3. He doesn't do a lot of other things, but I do like the idea of him. It's just like throughout his career, he just has not played.
Yeah.
Like he just can't stay healthy. And I believe he's owed quite a bit of money. This is kind of a coup for them to get it. Yeah, $23.3 million next year, 24.9 the year after that, for a player who like realistically plays, I don't know if it's 60% of the games. I mean, played 57 last year, 67 the year before, 53, 23, 63. He's a guy who has missed a ton of. He's only at 300 games played in his 6th NBA season.
Tough.
Yeah.
Hopefully he can get healthy though.
Yeah.
Would love to see somebody in the East challenge Boston.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think anyone's. Cleveland is very good. I don't know that they're beating Boston in a 7-game series. 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320 is the Elk Grove Kia talk line. Let's get to the world's best Mitch. Mitch in New Jersey, what's going on?
Green guys, salutations. How you guys doing?
Salutations, Mitch. What's up?
Yeah. What about Cam, Zion, and even the center from Portland, DeAndre Ayton? I don't think those guys have a lot of leverage. Just be a little aggressive now. They wouldn't give up too much. And I got a sneaky feeling that San Antonio, they will make the playoffs. They'll wind up getting Cooper Flag or the 2 guys from Rutgers. What do you think? And thanks for taking my call.
Thanks, Mitch. I don't think the Kings are making a big splash in the trade market.
I don't think they're making a big splash. Like they've been trying to do things, but I just don't know that they're going to be able to do something like bigger than, again, something that's reasonably small. Like they might be able to add some depth right here, but remember they're $2.5 million under the luxury tax and $6 million under the hard cap. Like they can take back a contract using one of their trade exceptions. It gets them all the way up to like $6 million, but they can't go over that. And I don't even know that they can do that because they have to, they're still at 13 roster spots right now. They still have to add to the roster. And so it's going to get a little dicey, a little difficult with their current, salary situation.
In the West last night, before the Kings started, I think just before the Kings started, Jimmy Butler was traded to the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors get Jimmy Butler, Andrew Wiggins, and Kyle Anderson, along with PJ Tucker, and then picks go to Miami. Utah wound up with Dennis Schroeder, and Detroit wound up with Lindy Waters III and Josh Richardson. Does that move the needle for you at all?
Not really. For me, not only did you trade for Jimmy Butler, but then you gave him the like $110 million extension.
Two and 121, I think it was.
Something like that. I don't know the exact.
Massive extension.
Well, and that puts him under contract for 4 years. 3 years after this season. I'm just not like going out in a blaze of glory with Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, they're in a weird spot. Like you watch them smoke what was it? What I tell you? 11 point lead in 3 minutes against a Jazz team that's actively trying to lose, and Lauri Markkanen wasn't playing.
Yeah, it's not great.
Right. So they just needed players who know how to close basketball games and win basketball games. And they acquired him without giving up any major future assets. The pick they gave up is top 10 protected, I believe, this year. Top 10 protected next year, and then unprotected in 27. So there's a chance that conveys this year, where they hold all their future assets. They didn't trade any young players. And I believe their books are clear in 27, 28. That's when Curry, Butler, and Green will all come off their books.
Okay.
So I get the vision, but in terms of making them contenders or making them a factor in the West, I just don't. They needed to do something. And doing it without giving up any major assets is a significant deal. Wiggins is having a really good year.
Yeah.
That's a tough loss. But when I look at OKC, because that's the standard, right? Are they competing with OKC? I don't think so.
No. And again, I don't know how that works at all. I mean, it could be that they like take off and they're really good from here on out.
Sure.
I'm not convinced of anything when it comes to Jimmy Butler. The only thing I'm convinced is that when you're done with Jimmy Butler, your franchise is on fire.
It's 0 for 5 or whatever he is now.
Yep.
Sixers, Timberwolves, Bulls, Heat. Which is a 4?
Philly?
Sixers, yeah.
Yeah.
Sixers,
okay.
Wolves, Bulls, Heat.
Something like that.
Yeah, really, especially since apparently he didn't want to sign an extension with the Warriors. And now he does.
Yeah, I mean, they had to pivot very quickly when Kevin Durant told them he was not going to go play for them.
Yes. But yeah, I think Golden State is probably better now. I just don't know. I don't know how much.
Yeah.
They're about 500. They are 500 right now, 25 and 25. It's interesting. It should be fascinating to watch.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, but outside of that, like interesting, it doesn't mean it's good.
Sure. Yeah. No doubt. The more potentially impactful trade was the one that happened later with the Lakers acquiring Mark Williams, the center from the Hornets, in exchange for Dalton Connect, Cam Reddish, and a 2031 unprotected first and a 2030 pick swap. When Mark Williams is healthy, he's very good.
Oh, he's awesome when he's healthy.
The problem is he played 84 games in 3 years.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Lakers needed a center after trading Anthony Davis, and Mark Williams isn't like this incredible defender, but if you needed a center, there were worse players you could go get.
Yeah, plus he's 23 years old, and you got him under team control and all that stuff. Again, the issue is that he hasn't been able to stay healthy. When he is healthy, I think he's a tremendous player. He doesn't space the floor or do anything of like a modern day center.
Yeah.
But he can get you blocks. He can, I know he's kind of like the vision of what Andrew Bynum was, like what he was supposed to be. And I think he can play. Yeah. It's just whether or not you can fit him into your system and whether he can, you can duct tape him together and keep him together to keep him on the court for anything more than, half the season.
The Lakers are so annoying. Like it's not that it just, I went from okay, this is they're having a nice start to the year, and they might be a playoff team, but they're not going to really be a factor. Not only will they be a factor this year, or could they be a factor this year, they're now set up for the next decade as well.
Yeah, probably.
God,
Yeah, it's annoying, right?
I hate it.
Yeah, me
we
too.
didn't really even get to talk about the Luka stuff, but I don't want to rehash all that. I'm sure you and I have the same thoughts everyone else does.
Well, that, and we have an hour until the deadline, and we have to see what happens between now and then.
Yeah. Kyle Kuzma also went to the Bucks. We didn't talk about that yesterday.
Chris Middleton.
Nobody's. That's the thing. Is here at the deadline. Nobody's messing with the Celtics or the Cavs in the East.
Nope.
It's very clear. Those are maybe the Knicks. I'll throw the Knicks in as a wild card. Nobody's messing with those three teams in the East. I don't think anybody's messing with Oklahoma City in the West.
No, I mean, I'm surprised we haven't seen something from Memphis. We haven't seen anything from Denver yet at all. Like teams that are close to in the running and could possibly make a move here. They aren't pushing to do something. And I get the Rockets not wanting to move because they have their young core, and it's like, hey, we know we're just not there yet. That's okay. Or if we need to see if we're there yet with what we already have, and just organic growth is going to be like really good. But I'm intrigued to see why some of these other teams, again, the Clippers, like super quiet.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of teams, like the Suns are tearing it down a bit. Like they're doing some moves to save money because they're so far above the luxury tax.
Yeah.
So you're seeing them do some like peripheral things.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it all works out in the end, but I don't think they're done moving.
I don't think so either. You know what I'm not done doing is making lineups on Underdog with Underdog Daily Fantasy, because Underdog's pick'em game is super easy. I just made my first lineup for the big game, Chiefs and Eagles. I don't have it in front of me right now, but it's the first of many, many lineups. I believe it's Juju Smith-Schuster, higher than 1.5 receptions. It is Harrison Butker, higher than half a missed field goal, and Jake Elliott, the Eagles kicker, higher than 2.5 extra points made. I need the Eagles to score 3 touchdowns with 3 extra points. I feel so good about that one. I feel very good about that lineup. And you can play along because Underdog Fantasy, you just pick 2 or more players, you pick higher or lower on their stats, and it is that easy to win up to 1,000 times your entry. Underdog's the best place to play. Pick them. Download the app, sign up with promo code KyleM, and deposit now to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's promo code KyleM. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncbgambling.org. All right. What do the Kings need to do in the final hour before the trade deadline? A point guard? Small forward? Power forward? We'll talk about it all next, right here on The Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube. This is ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Center. We are clear as hell.
We forgot to do this in the first hour. We can open the second hour with it. Stock Shock, like a lot of people keep saying trade for Herb Jones. I mean, like if you're talking about for next year, that's fine. But Herb Jones has a torn labrum. Like Herb Jones is not playing. Boy, ESPN just throwing DeAndre Hunter right into that starting lineup for a 41-win team. I'm not sure that's what's happening. Maybe.
Oops, that's probably... Sorry, everybody. Hang on. There we go. Oi. Yeah, I don't think the Pelicans are also that keen to trade Herb Jones.
Yeah, they have no reason to trade Herb Jones. Yeah, maybe we discuss that tomorrow.
Jesse and I talked about that yesterday.
No, I was here for a little bit of it.
Oh yeah, you came in as we were talking about it.
Yeah, the idea of it. Yeah. Yeah, I think De'Aaron Fox's interviews, I haven't watched all of them this morning or last night because I had a game and we had a little bit of a busy day. But he isn't making a lot of friends here in Sacramento.
He's being very clear about why he wanted out.
Yeah. I didn't listen to all of it. I just know he did say that he called Stephon Castle and said he didn't want him to be part of the trade.
Yeah.
And like a lot of it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of the ESPN 1320 Insiders. Get ready for the most up-to-date sports news and talk with the ESPN 1320 Insiders.
Hour number 2, that's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're walking with you until noon, and then we'll hand it off to D'Lo and KC, and those guys will take you up to 4 o'clock. 916-909-1320 is the Elk Grove Kia talk line, 916-909-1320. Speaking of D'Lo and KC, they're going to be out watching the Super Bowl at Sky River.
Mm-hmm.
If you would like the big game, excuse me, they're going to be watching the big game at Sky River at 32 Brewer Street. You must be 21 and up to attend. If you want to go watch the big game at 32 Brewer Street, you have to call and make a reservation.
Oh.
If you want to just hang out with the guys at the Humidor, which they'll be doing from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, or 2 o'clock until the big game starts at the Humidor, that's just a hangout. You can just go and hang out.
Okay.
But to watch the big game at 32 Brewer Street, you got to call ahead and make a reservation.
Okay.
Before that, or after that, though, is Valentine's Day.
Oh, yeah.
That's coming up next Friday. That's a week from tomorrow.
A week from tomorrow. And we have partnered with Strelitzia Flowers in
we
Davis. Incredible local business. Been in Davis for over 52 years. And we're excited to give you a chance to win a dozen long stem roses from Strelitzia Flowers. Normally, I'm much smoother talking about Strelitzia Flowers. Today, I can't talk at all.
Fine.
If you want to enter to win, we're going to give a code word out here in just a little while where you can go win, again, a dozen red roses, long stem red roses delivered to your sweetheart, whoever that might be. And for right now, you can go to StrelitziaFlowers.flowercompany.com and use the code word radio224 to save $10 off any purchase of $100 or more. And look, go out there and get your flowers, your flower purchases done early this year. Don't wait around and be that guy that's standing at a grocery store with all the other guys that are wondering why they've made,
boy.
Yeah, why you've made such a horrible mistake and picking through the dregs of what's left. Flowers from an incredible flower shop like Strelitzia Flowers, they always last longer. They always look better. They always make a much better impression. So check that out. We'll have a code word for you in just a little while for your chance to win a dozen red roses delivered.
Yep, we'll have that giveaway for you. Let's do that in the next segment. We'll give you the keyword for today. Let's get to some calls on the Elk Grove Kia talk line, 916-909-1320. TC, what's up?
Hey, what's up? Hammer Kyle, what's up, man?
Vibing.
Oh, vibing. You know, it's the guys is jam. He just got to be in attack mode. You know what I'm saying? Oh, he's not. He gonna get used to the fast pace we play with coming from the Bulls and our read and react. DHO game and all the fast pace. It's gonna come. It's gonna be a better game this week. So you know what? I'm not even really sweating with that. I called also to talk about that trade. I get it, Kyle. You with us? You know what I mean? But you're still more like that trade with Jimmy could either go either way, right? I'm not just gonna say it's a bad move, but that also could be a scary move. I'm just being reality, right? So
sure.
you got the two alphas in Draymond and I don't. That's the part that's my butt head, Draymond and Jimmy. But as far as having everybody buy in to that type of mentality, that could be scary. So as Kings fans, bro, we got to watch out for that. I get what you're saying, though, bro, but that's not just like a dumb move for the Warriors. And I'm just being honest.
Yeah, no doubt. Thanks, TC. Appreciate the call. Yeah, that's. I mean, with the Jimmy Butler thing, I think there's a better chance now that Golden State is effective than before the trade. I'm just not looking at this like they acquired prime Jimmy Butler because they didn't. So we'll see. Like, there's definitely a chance that they're significantly better. Like I said, a big problem for them this year has been closing games, and maybe having a veteran like Jimmy Butler who knows how to win helps them in that respect, and they're able to close some of these games and go on a run. But I've got to see it first. That's all.
Yeah, not only that, but you have to see it. I mean, they just signed him. He's there for another 3 seasons after this year.
Mm-hmm.
That's a danger. Like, he likes to light a torch and burn down wherever he just left.
Yep.
And that, to me, is a very scary proposition. And as for what it means for the Kings, because that was part of what TC said there.
Yeah.
Like, the Kings have to figure out who they are, and they're not worrying about, they shouldn't be worrying about what that looks like or what the Suns look like or anyone else. What we saw last night was unacceptable. It's what Doug Christie said multiple times, unacceptable. And I agree. They should not have looked that bad, but they've got to figure out a way to integrate pieces on the fly, and that's not easy. And again, it usually takes a couple of games, and then not only that, but we got the NBA All-Star break next weekend. And so you're going to have like a moment where you might be able to have 2 or 3 days to practice and sort of get on the same page. Again, find Zach LaVine somewhere to live, unless he's just going to live in a hotel for a little while. Again, he lives in Newport Beach. That's where his home is. And so like the commute to get there, like once the season's
hop on the PJ. It's cool.
Yeah, it's not that far. But like what we're talking about here as far as like the team is, they need a little bit of time to simmer in the pot, and you're adding another piece today and Jonas Valanciunas, and then do they add another piece at the trade deadline? Like, we don't know. We still have 52 minutes until the trade deadline.
It's kind of crazy that Zach LaVine, if he is at his home in Southern California, that he might be able to get to the arena faster than you if you guys both left home at the same time.
Well, I mean, if he's flying on a jet or something, he's got to get. I don't know the fastest way to.
I'm assuming if he was going to do that, they'd hook him up with the PJ.
Yeah, maybe they've got. Maybe he has that. He has access to a jet. I don't know. He makes a lot of money.
Maybe we'll borrow Kenny's.
Yeah.
Let's get to Tyler. Tyler, what's up, man?
Hey, Kyle Hammer. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, what's going on?
I had a question on the Valanciunas acquisition.
Sure.
We sent out 2 seconds in City, Sissoko.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't we send like Colby or Len to make that salary work if they were just going to waive City anyways? Seems like City's the type of player this team needs, long, athletic, and defensive minded. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Tyler. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I think I can answer that. Number one, like, he's 20 years old, and the Kings aren't in the market of waiting for players.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, Alex Len has been a very, very good veteran behind the scenes for this team. It's why they keep bringing him back on 1-year deals. And the team has invested a lot into Colby Jones. Colby Jones is 1.5 years into his process of trying to get to be a full-time player at the NBA level. I don't know if it's going to happen for him or not, but he has shown promise at the G League level, and you've invested time and energy into him. The reason why you had to include a player in this is just to give you that little bit of a buffer. So again, they're $2.5 million under the luxury tax at this point. And you just need that freedom when you're going into the trade deadline. So I understand why a player went in the trade, whether it's CD Sissoko or it was, one of the other players that they could have added. I don't really know that it matters all that much at the end of the day, but I go back to a couple of years ago when the Kings waived a player. I can't remember who it was, but they kept Justin James. DeQuan Jeffries. And it was just like, hey, like, Justin James brings a lot of joy to the room anywhere he's at.
He's a vibes guy.
He's a vibes guy, and he's a very good teammate. And if we're going to waive one of them, it's not that DeQuan is a bad guy, but he's super quiet.
Sure.
And we would, if neither one of them are going to play all that much, we'd rather have the guy we know and that brings energy and is fun and is part of the family, as opposed to somebody who's a little more reserved and not, and, he's there to do a job, but he's not part of like the big noisiness of the team.
Yeah.
And I think this is probably the same thing.
Washington also might have just rather had Sissoko.
Yeah, it sounds like they're waiving him.
Oh, are they?
But I'm not sure.
Oh, I see.
We'll
Okay,
have to
got
see.
it. I thought I misunderstood what was happening there. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that it's a
You're
weird
probably
transaction.
right. I can't imagine.
Yeah,
why else?
They didn't have any ties to CD.
It is a little bit funny that Sissoko practiced with the Kings, and in his media session was asked like what kind of player are you, like what kind of player are the Kings getting, and he's like, I like to play defense, and the Kings were like,
oh,
get him out of here. Don't want this guy. 916-909-1320.
Saying the wrong things, man.
The Elk Grove Kia Talk Line. Appreciate everybody calling in. Again, we don't have a call screener, so if you're calling and it's just ringing, I promise we're not ignoring you. We'll get to you just as soon as we can. Let's get to Don on the Elk Grove Kia Talk Line. What's up, Don? Hey, Don.
You're on the air.
Talking to you. What's up?
Me?
Yep. You.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? That's funny. Hey, I heard you guys mention the comment on the Zach LaVine in Newport. I watched a video they interviewed the Kings did on Twitter yesterday or Instagram, one of the social medias, and they asked Zach what was the most random purchase he had in his NBA career, and he actually mentioned that he bought a private jet when he was in Chicago so that he could fly back to Newport on his off days and come out to California when they had breaks. So I don't know if you've checked that out, but there's a little interview. They asked him his favorite color, favorite food, and all that. But one of the questions was his most random purchase, and actually he bought himself a private jet. So a little bit of information there for you guys. Have a great day. Go Kings.
Right on. Thanks.
There it is. I guess when you make $43 million this year, 46 next year, 49 the year after that, you can own your own private jet.
Yeah. Hey, Zach, what's your carbon footprint look like?
Oh, no.
Why wasn't this asked at the presser yesterday?
Hey, look, he's a guy with 3 young kids. He's trying to get back home as much as possible.
If I had the opportunity to travel by private jet anytime I want because I own said private jet,
yeah,
your boy would travel by I would fly from my home in the Bay Area to here.
If I
every
had
morning
access to a helicopter, I would come pick you up every day, Kyle, in my helicopter, fly us back to the station, and it would probably take less time than me driving to work.
Bet.
There it is.
If anybody would like to donate a private jet or a helicopter to the show, please do so.
Yes.
916-909-1320. Don, you're on the air. What's up?
What's up, fam?
What's going on?
Man, how are you?
I'm doing good. It's your boy Buddha, man.
What's up, Buddha?
Man, happy trade deadline day to y'all.
Yes, sir.
And I had a quick question though. Yeah, it might be a little too late. I don't know if Monty can hurry up and get on the phones if he can make a little call. But I'm gonna ask you guys, what you guys think? Would you guys trade? Because James just said we're not in the business for waiting on players. So I feel like a guy that we're waiting on is Devin Carter. So what you guys feeling like trading for a more proven piece like a Jose Alvarado? He's a better shooter. He's a straight energy guy. I think he's more proven than Dev right now. He's been on play-in teams, playoff teams. So what you guys think about that?
Right on. Thanks.
Yeah, I like Alvarado. I do. I am he's a guy with another long history of injury. I would, if I'm the Kings, this was kind of what me and Kyle were going to talk about this moment was what would you trade for? What is the idea player piece, whatever right now? We know the Kings just, swapped out a guard for a guard, and we know that they lost Kevin Huerter and they lost Jordan McLaughlin. They gained Jonas Valanciunas. So they have the backup center position taken care of. They have one of the guard positions taken care of. And it really comes down to, like we saw it last night, they didn't really have a point guard outside of Malik Monk. Malik Monk got in foul trouble, which is a rarity for Monk to get in foul trouble. But then, what else do they need? What's the biggest need? And for me, it's still length, athleticism. Find someone who's 6'8", 6'9" that plays a 3-4.
I think it is so much easier to find somebody to orchestrate your offense than it is to find somebody who you feel comfortable defending Franz Wagner.
Oh, yeah.
And the other giants that the Magic threw out last night.
Yeah, I mean, the Kings just got ran over by a tall team.
And it's not just Orlando. Orlando's just the most recent glaring example. How many times this year have the Kings lost a game and the talking point afterward has been, hey, do you think that'll convince the front office that they need somebody alongside Keegan Murray who's 6'8" and can play a little defense?
Mm-hmm.
It's 8, 9, 10 times. You're not going to lose all your games. You saw that Minnesota. Minnesota's a team that has bigger wings, good defenders, really good rim protector and Rudy Gobert. And the Kings figured out a way to beat them. You're not going to lose every single night, but your ceiling is very low. That's been the whole problem with the Monty McNair era. The Monty McNair. The ceiling has just not gone above where it was in 22-23. Hold your thought.
Yeah.
We'll continue this discussion. We got to step aside momentarily. We'll continue this discussion. What type of players should the Kings be looking for as the trade deadline nears? Noon today is the NBA trade deadline. We're taking you right up until then on the Insiders. Brought to you by Jiffy Lube. This is ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Center. Clear.
What's going on? And everybody loves Jonathan Isaac.
Who?
Jonathan Isaac. Of all the players that tore up the Kings last night, it wasn't Jonathan Isaac. He's intriguing. The big dude, but always hurt. Joe Ingles played 1 second last night. I did not know that. Oh, no, that was in the Minnesota game.
No, didn't Joe Ingles inbound a pass last night? Or was that the Minnesota game?
It is the Minnesota game. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's funny. I'm trying to look for the box score from last night.
Oh, yeah. He said he didn't buy a jet, just a plane ticket on a private jet. Okay, there we go.
Oh,
that's what I thought PJs were for the like billionaire types. I have no idea what a airplane costs.
Oh yeah,
how much?
So Jonathan Isaac last night in 21 minutes went 0 for 1 from the field. He didn't score. He had 3 steals, he had 2 assists, and he had 3 rebounds. But Tristan da Silva, on the other hand, Tristan da Silva was good. You're looking at how much private jets are?
According to the always reliable Google AI overview.
Oh, okay.
The cost of owning a private jet can vary widely depending on the size and model of the aircraft, but generally ranges from $2 million for a basic entry-level jet to over $100 million for a luxury model, with ongoing operational costs like maintenance, insurance, and crew salaries adding another $500,000 to $1 million annually.
Okay. You could afford...
That's silly money.
Yeah, but you could, I think he could probably afford at least to have, a jet service on retainer.
Yeah,
where
right.
you just, boom, you're you fly home.
Sure.
Especially 45 minutes. I mean, down the coastline.
Yeah, he's 32. Chris Boucher.
Yeah. Chris Boucher, the Kings can afford, realistically, they could afford a $15 million player right now, approximately. But that would cost you Devin Carter and Trey Lyles. They could afford a $10 or a $12 million player. A $10 million player would cost you, again, Trey Lyles and either Alex Len or Colby Jones, maybe both. But you're still going to have to replace salary after that. Or they can go all in and they can throw DeMar DeRozan into a trade and take a much bigger swing. Early in the season, it was a problem for sure. They've gotten a little bit better at it. Last night was very specific. They had a bunch of dudes who didn't know how to play together. Would I or would the Kings? That would be a different question.
All right, here we go.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Oh, what happened? What happened?
We have a trade, not a Sacramento Kings trade.
Okay, well, we're going to also have a giveaway for you, but tell us the trade first.
The Los Angeles Clippers are trading Terrence Mann and Bones Highland to the Atlanta Hawks for Bogdan Bogdanovic and 3 second-round picks. Bogey goes to the Clippers.
Oh, it's a nice ad.
I like Terrence Mann.
Me too. He's one of those
Man.
players that, for some reason,
The Kings can't find.
well, and just never he was with OKC, right? Was he with
you're
OKC?
thinking Trey Mann.
Oh, okay. But yes, I'm sorry. Trey Mann was who I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Who's having a really good year. Terrence Mann's awesome.
Yeah, he's a defensive specialist.
So I was like, okay. Yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
6'5".
Trey Mann's having a really good year in Charlotte right now.
Yeah, I like Trey Mann.
Terrence Mann, also good.
Different, very different type of player.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, we have to do a giveaway, right?
Trey Mann's only played 13 games this year. Did he get hurt?
I'm guessing he did.
Oh, yeah, he hurt his back. He's out for the year. Ooh. Yikes. Okay. Anyways, let's give away flowers.
Yeah, let's give away flowers. Love is in the air. ESPN 1320 is excited to give you a chance to celebrate all kinds of love this Valentine's Day with Strelitzia flowers. You have a chance to win 1 dozen long stem roses with delivery, courtesy of Strelitzia flowers. Is perfect for Valentine's Day, which is next Friday. To enter, all you have to do is listen to the Insiders here with me and Kyle, and for the code, enter the code word and go to our ESPN.com contest page where you will see Strelitzia flowers right there. Our code word today is, Kyle?
Petal.
Petal.
Not pedal like a bike pedal.
Mm-hmm.
Petal like a rose petal. Petal.
There we go. So go right now to ESPN1320.com. Enter to win a dozen long stem roses, and they hand deliver everything. Absolutely spectacular. So go to the contest page right now. The code word is pedal. Also, you can go to StrelitziaFlowerCompany.com and use the code word radio224 for $10 off any purchase of $100 or more. Go get your Valentine's Day flowers ordered right now. Take care of business.
916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. That is the phone number if you want to participate in the program. We'd love to hear from you. So we'll do this. We'll say trade deadline, but this could also move into the buyout market at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the trade deadline is today at noon, so coming up in about 35 minutes. Maybe the Kings make a move. Doesn't sound like there's anything percolating necessarily. We'll see. And if there is a trade, we'll have it for you right here on ESPN 1320, whether it's me and James or D'Lo and KC, which is coming up next at noon. Would you rather see the Kings, because there's now 2 clear needs. They need another point guard, somebody who can just kind of organize the offense.
Mm-hmm.
And then they need that size and athleticism that we've always been talking about. Would you rather have a middle, and I'm going to use names here.
Okay.
Whether these players are available for trade or not matters less. Just this level of player. I'm using avatars.
I'm with you.
Would you rather have Dennis Schroeder or KJ Martin? So like a proven middle tier point guard, you feel fine about him running your second unit, or a bigger player, an athletic player like KJ Martin, who maybe isn't proven in the NBA yet, has some flashes. There's some hope for his ceiling, but he's not really carved out a major role yet in the NBA.
See, this is a really tough one because I don't know that KJ Martin is enough for me to pass on a guy like Dennis Schroeder.
Okay.
Schroeder to me is he's not spectacular, but he does have a purpose in the NBA. I do not think he had his best run with the Golden State Warriors, but he is going to be a buyout candidate type player. And for me, I think because of the Kings' lack of scoring, I would choose to go that route, especially after watching the game last night and seeing the Kings get to a point where they didn't have a proven scorer to run out there. I also think there's a possibility that Zach LaVine can play a little bit more small forward than I thought, although I don't want to see him lined up against Franz Wagner ever again.
That was tough.
That was tough.
That was a tough matchup for our guy.
Yeah, that was no bueno.
Not
no
that,
bueno.
and I want to be fair here. Franz Wagner's a very tough matchup for basically everyone.
Yeah, he's averaging 25 a game.
He's having an incredible year.
Yeah. Franz Wagner's a very, very good player. And he's just much bigger than anyone the Kings. Like, you had to use, Keegan Murray on Paolo Banchero because you don't have that other player. And so that meant that, either DeMar DeRozan or Zach LaVine are defending Franz Wagner. And then when Orlando went big and had, Franz at the 2, you were torched.
They have the Magic have a real chance to be a major problem.
They do. It's weird that they've struggled.
Yeah.
Like early in the season when they had the 2 catastrophic injuries,
right?
Again, like Paolo Banchero missed 2 months of the season with an abdominal tear, and then Franz Wagner had the same exact injury.
Yeah, and
they missed major time.
Yeah,
but for them to have struggles now that everyone's back is a little strange.
Yeah, very odd. I'm taking a flyer on the size.
Okay.
If I can get and again, I don't know that KJ Martin is necessarily available, but just that type of player where he played, he's played 24 games this year. He's played 290 games as a pro. He's averaging 9 points and 4 rebounds, but he's never played more than, he played 28 minutes a night with Houston in 22-23. But beyond that, he's been a 20 minutes a night type of guy. And I would rather take that flyer and see if you can fit him into your rotation and see if he can provide kind of what you're lacking. I would rather do that than find a point guard, because there's a world where the Kings figure out what they're doing offensively with Zach LaVine, and you can piece together the non-Malik Monk minutes, the 15 minutes a game Malik's not going to be on the court.
Okay.
The 15-ish minutes a game he's not going to be on the court, where LaVine can handle the ball, DeMonis can handle the ball, DeRozan can handle the ball. Like there's different ways that you can piece those minutes together. I think that's an easier thing to find and an easier thing to fix than overcoming the massive issue that you've had, which is they don't really have anybody outside of Keegan that can guard a bigger player.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've been saying it for years that I think that the Kings need, more size, athleticism, length at the 3 and 4, right? But the question that you specifically asked was these 2 players. If there were other players that we that were at the same level, KJ Martin and another point guard, a younger point guard that's at the same level as KJ Martin, I'm taking KJ Martin. No questions asked.
Yeah.
That's where I would go because you do have that need. But I also know that there's, if you can go out and get a quality NBA player that knows exactly who he is and you can put out on the court in the buyout market, which is where I would be looking at Dennis Schroeder.
Yep.
But the problem is when Dennis Schroeder gets bought out, you're going to have the same problem the Kings always have, is that it doesn't matter what players we think would look good in a Kings uniform. When a player's bought out, he usually goes wherever the heck he wants to go because he's got a whole bunch of money in his bank account from the buyout, and he's going to go play for a league minimum, and he's going to play for a league minimum deal for whatever team he wants to go to. I wouldn't be surprised if Dennis Schroeder goes back to somewhere like the Los Angeles Lakers, where he's played before. What I think the only team he can't go back to is if he gets waived by Utah, is the team that traded him previously, which is it's the Warriors, right? He's part of that deal. So he cannot go back to the Warriors this season. But that would be again, I think he's going to have his choice of a couple of spots, and it's whether the Kings are an enticing place to go. And I'm not sure that they are, as they're currently constructed at 25 and 25 and, on the outside looking in of the playoffs.
Yeah. And that's always that's the problem with relying on the buyout market. Plus, typically players who hit the buyout market aren't going to be players who are going to be major factors for you. And that's where if you're expecting this huge difference maker to come in via the buyout market, it's probably not going to happen. So I still, if that type of player, Dennis Schroeder or otherwise, because again, you just need somebody to organize your offense for 13 minutes a night.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a game-changing player. And that's the thing is when you talk about getting a point guard on the buyout market, that's why I would so much rather go find that 3-and-D wing in a last-second trade here. 29 minutes until the trade deadline, by the way. I'd rather find a wing in a last-minute trade because that's a way you can find a player who's going to make a bigger impact than via the buyout market. And you need that player to be impactful more than you need a buyout point guard who would just be like, go out there and just don't turn the ball over and dish a couple assists, maybe knock down a 3.
Yeah, I think there are point guards that are going to be available, whether it's a buyout market or the free agent market, or even going to the G League and just picking up somebody who's been down there. The Kings can use 10-day contracts to avoid paying going over the luxury tax.
Sure.
They're going to have to get crafty here down the stretch. So I think there are a lot of ways that they can improve this roster. But are you going to be able to have like a home run swing? And I don't, we're 28 minutes away from the trade deadline. I don't think that there's going to be some home run swing, and even a 2-for-1 that brings back 2 of these types of players, which you probably need at this point still.
Yeah. 916-909-1320 is the Elk Grove Kia talk line. Don, you're on the Insiders. What's up?
Yo, good morning. This is Rayshawn.
What's up, Rayshawn?
Good morning, Colin. James. 2 things I want to say, James. I commend you so much on the questions that you were asking Monty yesterday. They were like on point, amazing questions. And second, is there any way we can get Zaire Williams? Because I feel like we need a wing player like that. I know we've been discussing that. I don't know, James, I know you're like the money guy on these topics. Just wanted to know your thoughts on that. Thank you guys. Have a blessed day.
Thanks for the call, Rashawn.
Thanks,
Appreciate
man.
you.
That's an interesting name. Because he's on Brooklyn, right?
Yep.
I haven't looked at his salary. I'm looking at it right now. $6 million, and then next year he has a qualifying offer at 8.3. That's it. Like, in all honesty, like, why not? I
would love that.
I think
that's
teams
a great
are
name.
Still waiting. It is an interesting name. That, man, how the heck do we spell Zaire?
ZIA.
ZIA.
Yeah. That's what I was doing earlier.
Yeah.
I tried ZA.
I haven't looked at 9.4 points, 4.7 rebounds, 1.1. He shouldn't. I mean, again, he's struggling from the field. He's a super athlete though, and length and athleticism, 6'9", 215, 23 years old. I think all of us have, he coming into the draft, very, very highly regarded player. He hasn't really had the opportunity to find himself in a rotation full time until, a little bit last year, but really this year. Why not? Because he's a player at $6 million, but you have to say why not, and how do you get him?
Sure.
And that's the problem, because if you're going to go trade for Zaire and you're going to give up Trey Lyles, did you get any better today? And maybe the answer is you got better for next year, but did you get any better today? And so not a bad name though. That, again, that's where
that's the type of player. That's the exact type of player we're talking about though.
Exactly. Just go find that guy that you haven't been able to find forever, the 6'8", 6'9" guy who can jump out of the gym and can do specific things.
Who can play NBA minutes.
Yeah.
Is he going to be great? Don't know, but he would be effective. Not necessarily effective. He would check the boxes of what the Kings are missing.
Yeah, and I think realistically the key to the NBA is if you're team building, it's to figure out who your cornerstones are, right? And for this Kings team, I think at this point we're looking at we used to say De'Aaron Fox first, but Malik Monk, it's Zach LaVine, and it's Domantas Sabonis.
Yep.
And you might filter in Keegan Murray into that cornerstone conversation. I'm not sure at this point, just because he's been so up and down. How do you support those players the best way possible? And you look at Domantas Sabonis, you need a long, athletic, shot-blocking 3-and-D 4 or 3-and-D 5 to put next to him. Can you go get that player? When you look at Zach LaVine, he needs just super long, athletic guys as well around him. They don't have to be shot blockers, but defensive-minded players should support him, because he's he's a great offensive player, but on the defensive side of the ball, you saw it last night, but you'll see it over the next couple of years.
Yeah.
He's not an A-plus defender. So you're going to have to figure out ways to disguise that. So the key to building a roster is to look at what you have and then look at the complementary pieces to add around them. And I think that's been the biggest question mark when it comes to this front office.
Sure.
It's not about going out and getting the best player possible. A lot of times it's about going out and getting the best fits possible.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't seen a lot of that. And so that's where I would attack if I'm this group.
Yeah, man, that is a line that I always harken back to, is from one of my favorite movies of all time, Miracle, about the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team. Great movie. If you've never seen it, salute. Herb Brooks, the coach, says, "I'm not looking for the best players. I'm looking for the right ones."
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the Kings are looking for right now to me. Like the correct player, even if it's not the best player available, could have a significant impact on their roster.
Yeah.
And that's where a player like Zaire Williams fits.
Yeah, and I even look at, like what they did this year with when they went out and got DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan is a better player. He will be in the Hall of Fame, and Cam Johnson will not.
Mm-hmm.
Just straight up. Cam Johnson not going in the Hall of Fame. Anyone out there who's wondering, he's not. But that doesn't mean that I don't think that Cam Johnson would have been a better fit for this team than DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan, you need a bucket. He got it, right?
We talked about this last year with Keon Ellis and Kevin Huerter.
Yeah.
It's different in retrospect now. But at the time, it was like, man, Kevin Huerter's probably a better player, but Keon Ellis is more along the lines of what the Kings need right now.
He's a better fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, just straight up.
Yep. We've seen it happen right here in Sacramento. Let's get to one more call on the Elk Grove Kia talk line before we step aside and get to the handoff with Damian Barling. Don, you're on the Insiders. What's up?
What's up, Insiders? This is Don, a.k.a. Old E.
What's up, Old E?
Guys, this is the second time I've been accidentally blocked on the chat. I'm so heartbroken, guys. I love y'all. I love chatting in.
Sorry, man. That's not us. I barely look at the chat during the show.
It's good. It's good. It's just so. I had to call in. I had to do it. I had a few minutes.
Guys, unblock Old E. For goodness sakes.
I love the show. I love the show, guys. You guys know I love it. It hurt.
How was that it?
Yeah, that's it, man.
Okay, very good. Appreciate the call, Old E.
Trade deadline day. We get a call because somebody needs to unblock this man.
I appreciate his passion.
I do.
Appreciate that he listens to the program, watches the program, I should say.
That's right.
At youtube.com/ESPN 1320. No Zaire Williams takes, though.
Hey, the Zaire Williams. That's a good pull, though. That's a type of player.
It's a very, very good pull.
Yeah, like that's there are a lot of players in the league like him that could help this Sacramento Kings roster.
Let's see if we can get a better call here. Don, you're on the Insiders. Hey, did we take your call earlier?
Yeah, you did. I'm calling back. I got another.
No, just one a day. Sorry. Don, you're on the Insiders. What's up?
Hey, this is Sam. How you doing?
Doing okay, Sam. What's up?
Well, I'll tell you real quick. Looking at LaVine's defense, he stands up too tall and he's too rigid, and therefore he's getting beat on that first half step every time. And if you see the other guys that are defending, even Keegan Murray, they're bent over somewhat, stretched out, and they're not getting beat so bad off the first take. So LaVine needs to look at his defensive posture and see how that relates to how his defense will be.
All right, cool. We'll call Doug and let him know. Thanks, Sam.
Triple threat stance.
Yeah, real quick. No disrespect to the guy I hung up on. It's just one call a day, and if we had a call screener, it'd be easier to let people know that.
Mm-hmm.
That's just kind of how it goes. If you have another point you want to make, we would love to hear from you tomorrow.
Yep.
That's the rules of the program. Thank you everybody who has called the show. You guys help make it better. He's James. I'm Kyle. Damian Barling's going to join us for the handoff next on the Insiders. Interested to hear what Damian's got to say about the Kings' trade deadline moves or lack of trade deadline moves. Coming up next here on ESPN 1320 and Sacramento Sports Center. We're clear. I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse, but according to this is going to be a bar. According to a source, we may or may not have a call screener a couple days a week starting soon. Watch out, everyone. Hey, justice for old E, bro. Free old E.
Free old E. Come on.
Hey, facts. Hey, if he had been, hey, that's the thing is because I can't really remember. So if he had been like, no, I haven't called it, I'd been like, bet, what do you got?
You just remembered the number?
The name came. Oh no!
What?
Somebody called in, and I was going to pot them up, but not on air, and tell them like, hey, sorry, we're done taking calls for today. In fact, let me block the lines. There we go.
And you hung up on somebody?
Huh?
Did you hang up on somebody?
No, they hung up.
Oh. I don't know how to.
Hey, this is out of pocket. This is crazy.
I didn't see what that was.
Bro, I wouldn't blame you. This is why I'd never have Charlie be the call screener, because he would just, nobody would ever want to talk to us.
And I guarantee Charlie wouldn't punch you in the face, John Bull.
Well, I would still call everybody Don and then blame it on Joe.
Yeah, I don't know how to block, unblock any of that stuff. So not a whole lot I can do. We don't know if the Kings are done making moves. I don't have anything brewing.
Dennis Schroeder to the Pistons.
Oh.
As part of the Jimmy Butler trade.
Oh.
Detroit adds their much-needed ball handler.
Handler of balls. Is that what you're saying?
No. It's not what I said. 1 minute.
I'm not sure that Jake LaRavia is a like upgrade. Maybe. I don't know. Every time you watch him, you're like, how did Jake LaRavia just bust you up? Who's that? Oh, Jay Huff. That's who the Kings should go get. Jay Huff.
Brother.
Jay Huff, everybody. Jay Huff.
Let Jay Huff cook. It'd just be the Mountain Men front court.
I want him here in Sacramento because I believe he can make wooden furniture. He looks like an Amish man. I believe he can make me wooden furniture. Jay Huff, I need a bookcase.
Can Brett Huff play the 5?
Can Brett Huff play the 5? I think Brett Huff is better than well, no. Jay Huff is pretty good at basketball. I do like Brett Huff. He's a good dude. Yeah.
Hey, that would be dangerous because then there would be a lot of huff in paint. Huff it.
I don't even know what you're trying to say.
I'm done. There we go. Terrible.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Yeah, it's a big thumbs down joke by me. That's fine. Damian Barling going to join us for the handoff here shortly. Talk about the Kings trade deadline. 15 minutes left until the NBA trade deadline. Dennis Schroeder has now been traded to the Detroit Pistons. So he went from Miami to the Jazz to the Pistons all in one trade.
Yep. That's a lot.
That's a thing that's happening.
He just keeps moving. See,
NBA trades are insane, dude.
Yeah.
In the NFL, Myles Garrett is traded to Team X for this pick, that pick, and this pick. Here it is. That's it. That's all that happens.
It's over.
It's not. Myles Garrett was traded to the Rams, and Cooper Kupp was traded to the Bengals, and T. Higgins was dealt to the Dolphins, and the Jets acquired 2 first-round picks in the process. Like, wait, what? Nope. It's very straightforward.
It's just wild that like it again, they're called simultaneous or non-simultaneous trades. There's all kinds of trades that happen, and until they're called into the league, they're not finalized. And so all of these things are just like all of the moving pieces are crazy. Hey, it's Damian Barley.
No, that's okay. God
knows that I have done enough to make a bunch of noise interrupting your show.
That's fine.
So no, this is just how we roll. It's why this station is fun.
That's right. That's
why
right.
I like to work here.
This station is very fun.
At another station I've worked at, had you done that, the producer would have gotten a text message about it.
Oh my gosh!
And then there would have been a meeting after the show.
I can't imagine 95.7 the game acting that
that
way
is
at
not
all.
that is not what I said. I'd said
I
a
know you
previous
didn't.
station I worked at.
All I said was I can't imagine 95. Two separate statements. Shout out Matt Nahegan.
Looks like the Kings are done making trades. Not like done this. They're done making trades for today. Are they better than they were pre-deadline?
If they are, it's marginal. Like it is. I don't feel like it's a. I don't feel like it's enough because I think there's multiple ways that you could go with this, and hopefully people don't overreact to Zach LaVine's game last night.
I'm reacting.
It's fine to react. I don't want people to overreact. That was it was clunky and unpretty, but I think Zach LaVine and De'Aaron Fox it's a bit of a wash. Maybe if you really push like the defensive side of the ball, you could say maybe it's a little on the negative side, but you add Jonas Valanciunas, which is a player that Kings fans and James and guys have long wanted for this squad, thought that he would be perfect, and so now you've got him. And so, like, how much positive is that? Is it enough to offset the loss of De'Aaron? Like, to me, it's plus or minus in a very, very, very small margin. No matter, you can't argue. Like, it would be really difficult for you to make the argument to me that the Kings are, man, they're a lot worse. It would be really difficult for you to make the argument to me that the Kings are a lot better.
Sure.
So to me, if you argued, they're a little bit better, they might be a little bit worse, it's hard for me to find flaw in either one of those arguments.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because I think we all wanted them to do something where we could definitively make the statement they're better.
Yeah.
And you can make the argument that they're better. How much better becomes the question, and I think it's difficult to make a strong argument that, man, these guys are a lot better, because I don't know that that's true, unless I'm completely undervaluing Jonas Valanciunas. I don't think I am, but if I am, my apologies to the big fella. I do not want to be on his bad side.
Don't want smoke with Jonas Valanciunas.
I will call Wes Wilcox a snake 100 times before I ever cross Jonas Valanciunas.
I would say this, in addition to what you're saying, like if you just look at the pieces, Jonas coming in and LaVine coming in, and Kevin Huerter going out, and again, De'Aaron Fox going out, like on paper, that's probably close to even Steven.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The problem is you did not address any of the real issues with this team. Like you did get a better backup center.
Yeah.
But you also did not address like the
elephant in the room. Yeah.
they added to the in areas that don't substantially help. Even if
sure.
Does that like maybe Zach LaVine is a better shooter than De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah.
But like putting the ball in the hoop was not a problem for this team.
Yeah.
Jonas Valanciunas is going to be a better backup center than Alex Len.
Yeah.
Like it gives them optionality in the front court. Like that's helpful. But to what end and to what extent? Like I think they like you said, I don't feel strongly one way or the other that the roster is better or worse.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know that I'm suddenly going, oh, wow, wait, hey, back to, I think this team's going to win 50 again.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely not.
I'm really hoping that the idea isn't, we added Jonas, so that means that Trey can be more of a 4 and doesn't have to play the 5. And that's going to be the
Keegan does a 3.
Acquisition by acquisition.
Now. Sure.
Yeah. But I don't, that can't really be the idea.
There's nothing worse to me than a team standing pat at like a trade deadline and going, well, this injured player's coming back. That's basically like making a trade. Like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Well, it was funny because I'm pretty sure Sham said something like that today when he was like, hey, Chet Holmgren's coming back. What a move at the deadline for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Like, oh, Shams, come on, man.
Come on.
But that is pretty fire that Chet's like coming back to the best team in the league like Friday.
That's just a ridiculous thing.
Yeah, it's just silly.
But OKC didn't not make a trade because they knew. Like,
no, for
just,
sure.
You know,
yeah, they're riding. They're fun. They're comfortable with where they're at. That's why I appreciate what Golden State did.
Sure,
like they tried something. Like I don't think it's gonna work. I'm not sold. I don't think it's gonna work long term. I'm praying to God Jimmy and Draymond get in a fist fight, like on the floor, preferably in game one. But I'm not. They tried something. I'm not mad at them for it.
Sure.
They had said repeatedly, like Steve Kerr said, I think it was Steve Kerr, said a couple of days ago, like, we're not in a position to not do anything. We're not good enough.
Yeah. That was 2 weeks after Steph Curry's going, hey, put down the Twitter. I'm going to figure it out with this roster. Yeah. And then
the Wizards have waived guard Reggie Jackson.
Oh, dude. Yes. I will take Reggie Jackson.
So that would be one of those interesting buyouts because it's clear Dennis Schroeder's not getting bought out at this point.
Yeah.
Also, KJ Martin and Josh Richardson, a 2028 second-round pick, is what Detroit gave up to Utah to get Dennis Schroeder. But those poor guys, they have no idea where they're playing, what airport they're flying into.
They've definitely not moved, right? Like they're being told by these front offices, hey, you're going to be on the move. Don't go anywhere just yet.
I hope they're being told that. I hope that they're not like flying from one place to another and then flying from another place to another.
Well, I felt bad for our Man City yesterday. They had the big
brutal,
big banner
bro.
out there for him.
That
about to go to one
brutal.
center. At least he caught the footage of it. And
that was brutal.
Sorry, big
bro.
fella. You're off to the nation's capital.
I did think it was funny. Asked him what type of player he was. He's like, I like to play defense. All right, he's out of here. This kid's done.
Sorry, pal. We
you like to what?
We confused you with somebody else. We'll send you out there to Washington. Hey, Mike, we got you a defensive guy.
It always reminds me of when Sean Cunningham sat down with Tyrese Halliburton and Davion Mitchell because they were going to play against each other.
And where is Davion going now?
Miami.
Salute. Okay, I saw on my drive in he got traded. I didn't see where it was. He's going to Miami. Okay.
So Toronto acquired a second round pick to acquire Davion, and then got a second round pick to trade Davion.
They got 2 seconds in the first transaction.
Boy, them seconds, boy.
Real quick, I have an Underdog lineup that I want to go over real quick.
Okay.
Underdog Daily Fantasy, their pick'em game, 2 or more players, their stats. You go higher or lower. I've already got a lineup in for the big game when the Chiefs face the Eagles, but I've also got a lineup in for the big game tonight when the Kings take on the red-hot Portland Trailblazers. Domantas Sabonis, I think, is going to bounce back. I think he's going to have higher than 14.5 rebounds tonight. I think Malik Monk is going to pass the heck out of the ball after not doing so last night. And you're going to see higher than 6.5 assists from Malik Monk. And then Scoot Henderson. Scoot Henderson is having a really nice breakout year in his second season. I'm going higher than 12.5 points for Scoot Henderson. That is my 3-player lineup on Underdog. You can play along with me at the Underdog app because Underdog's the best place to play. Pick them. Download the app. Sign up with promo code Kyle M and deposit now to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's promo code Kyle M. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Someone in this room might have forgot that game was happening.
It was me.
Oh, you two. Oh, 2 of the people in this room. That's very good. I started laying out today's show. It was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Where's the Portland game at? Oh, the Portland game is tonight.
I did not have a back-to-back on my radar.
Yeah. And I knew we were having, I stayed till the end of the game last night.
Wow.
They lost by 1,000. I was there the whole time.
That's remarkable.
Yeah. And apparently it made me dumber because I completely forgot that they were playing Portland tonight. So,
well, you guys will be previewing that game. You're going to talk about what De'Aaron Fox said. We didn't really get to dive into it.
We could talk about De'Aaron Fox.
And Zach LaVine's fed more of that coming up.
I'm gonna bring that DeMarcus Cousins tweet back, boy, because goddamn, if there was ever a tweet that exemplified this franchise, it's that snake in the grass, man.
Can't wait. D'Lo and KC is going to be a lot of fun. You can listen to it right here on ESPN 1320. If you're on the stream, don't go anywhere. We're just going to swap out shows, and we're going to stay right here on youtube.com/ESPN 1320. We'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're the Insiders, sponsored by Jiffy Lube. Until tomorrow at 10, drink water, be nice to people.